Now today what I'm going to tell you is there are certain things I would give you the information, because you know what is most significant. Later on you would find that what is there in every letter in the book which we have discussed, and I again repeat for your clarity and for your confirmation that the letters have been divided in personal letters. The text which we all have and you all have is these letters have been divided into personal letter. The personal letters: letter number 2, Heliose to Abelard; letter number 3, Abelard to Heliose; letter number 4, Heliose to Abelard; letter number 5, Abelard to Heliose. Letters of direction: letter number 6, Heliose to Abelard; letter number 7, Abelard to Heliose. It is a summarized one. Letter number 8, Abelard to Heliose. Then these are two broad category which is being given by Betty Redis. Be careful, listen, because there are some other scholars who have also translated these letters and they haven't given this kind of division. And from where this division, Betty, took this this titling of her index as a personal letters and letters of direction. This idea, this thing, she got it from J.T. Muckle, J.T.Muckle. From the writings of J.T. Muckle, Betty Redis drew this idea of dividing the translation in a form of personal letters and letters of direction. And there is one very significant change which is especially you will find with the edition which we are doing right now, is that the letter number 1, which is the Historia Calamity, they existed or where the authenticity can be proved or not. And that is why in this next category we find David Luscombe. And what is this associated with David Luscombe? In 1988, David Luscombe in a lecture to British Academy brought together the argument. And what did he say? It's a very significant statement. The problem was we are left with and may never dispel is that of the knowing whether the letters were at first written for dispatch separately and successively, and with each provoking a reply further correspondence until Abelard met Heliose's request in full, or whether the collection arose from a compact to share, compose and exchange their thoughts, experience and principles in fictive correspondence. In the letters, Abelard and Heliose may be said to have forged the correspondence themselves, and that's how Luscombe at the boundary between fact and fiction. So what does he say? Luscombe believes that somewhere the discussion would have been there, but there are a number of other fictitious thoughts and the theories which we also cannot deny. And in this way, further Luscombe says that because there is a very thin line between the history and the literature, and that's how history could be proved on the basis of 3 points primarily: the structure which is existed and monuments which are being constructed during the time, the archaeological evidences on the basis of archaeology, and the scientific that approval of fossils and all we see, and then the contemporary records, written records also we can say. So on the basis of archaeology, science and evidences which we, for example, in monolithic, paleolithic, old time we find those stones, and then if we have to establish the theory of dinosaur, then we have found the skull, the evidences of that, some eggs are there, bones are there, all these things, on the basis of that we can prove. So that's how the theories are being coming. But most of the scholars, they believe that these both the correspondence between them were real and primarily it was authentic. So on the basis of that we can conclude this. Let me just give you last points which I talked today. These are the summary, you can simply say, and the summary is: in the beginning we all know that since the translation by Betty Redis in 1974 onward, the text which is being sold out repeatedly, many publication house and more than 2 lakh copies have been published, and it is continued. Okay, and how the popularity existed and started, that this book has been, these letters have been published and republished, and more than 2 lakh copies have been distributed. How the authenticity and the beginning we get to know, that is Roman de la Rose front page is pictured with the Abelard and Heliose. Professor Jacques Werger in 1996, he talks about the authenticity of the writings, and we come to know number of, like Ahmed has actually given the theatrical contribution to Abelard and Heliose story, and one of the most famous songwriter, composer and presenter, Cole Porter, has dedicated the song Just One of Those Crazy Things, which is a very popular and available on YouTube also. You can see that. In 2001, Ahmed, who has been a Persian theater artist, he also has written one of the drama or a theatrical performance. And Peter Abelard, he was not aware about India, China and Islam, but there are number of stories moving around him. M.T. Clenchy, we have already talked about M.T. Clenchy because this is the new contemporary debate which is come related to Peter Abelard and Heliose, is also being supported by M.T. Clenchy. Peter Abelard, if you have to understand what is Peter Abelard, means champion of reasoning. This is being given by M.T. Clenchy. M.T. Clenchy says, if there is one word if you want to attach with Abelard, that is reasoning, and opposing the superstition. It is not only in Europe but in America and rest of the other world. Peter Abelard is also being appreciated, and that is what the most significant thing we come to know in establishment of Illinois state in America. That is 1880, when the state authorities who were admitting the people in the administration, they made a signature statement, that is, men are like Abelard and women are like Heliose. Mark Twain also has given his part of contribution and a recognition, 1869. Okay, what does he say? He says that right now in the contemporary time, when people talk about Christianity, most of the young generation, they also discuss and believe in Peter Abelard and Heliose's belief system. Helen Weddell, she has written one novel entitled Peter Abelard in 1933, and Chettos and Windus in 1971 published Heliose biography. The title of the book is Heliose biography of Heliose. And then there is one reference which I have already given you, but I repeat the same, that in the present time, when we say what was medieval time, and generally, if you want to understand the Catholic religion, Catholic Church, then what is that? It has a rules and regulations, and primarily related to OSM, that is organized sexual morality. But the present contemporary children are also aware about the logic, scientific and advanced approach of Peter Abelard and Heliose. Heliose resembles with free spirit. Okay, she is the symbol of prototype feminist, which is given by Betty Redis. So J.T. Muckle in 1953, when he was writing about Peter Abelard and Heliose's letter, he has given those categorization, and on the basis of that, Betty also categorized as letter in the personal and a direct letter of directions. The controversy is also there in the name of letter, whether they are authentic or not, and the controversy is supported by Benton and Waddell, but finally the controversy, it's subdued. There was no stability and consistency. There is one writer, Huge Metal. Huge Metal has written number of poems dedicated to Peter Abelard and Heliose, and for your information, I guess you already know that Peter Abelard and Heliose, they have written number of songs also. It is appreciating the free spirit of their thinking and belief system. So in this way, we can simply say that it's not only the theology, but it's a logic and it's a scientific approach. Thank you. Let us understand how this whole process is going on. And the process is that there are number of schools which were running during that time, and those schools were different teachers, they would be teaching certain subjects, and then the students on the basis of their choice would come to them. So most of the writers, most of the teachers and the scholars, or let us say theologians, they were repeating the same thing which is told and retold again. Abelard was trying to rework on his belief system. So what knowledge which is being given by the church authorities or the established pattern and earlier predecessors, that is okay. He understood that very well, and after that, what he believed, what new interpretation he could give, that he was trying to give. And that's how it was based on the logic, it was based on the scientific approach, and it was based on moreover human behavior, a human belief system. Primarily, maybe, as a human being, our belief and our thoughts are not supported by, maybe it is not supported by any of the text or something established pattern. But if you believe that that is true, then you go for that. So that scientific approach and logic, applying logic in every concept, attracted number of students. And that's why it is clear that by the age of 30, he was a very popular teacher, and he was a very handsome, good looking. And that's how his popularity, he was running by by the age of 32, he was running his own institution. And that is why uncle of Heliose, Fulbert, he hired him because he had achieved a extraordinary reputation as a teacher and a theologian. And that's how he was hired. He was the best teacher during that time, and that's why he was hired for the educating Heliose. So in this way, both way we can understand it. It's a both way you can understand. That's what I believe. Kindly share and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.